We see here that the first 7 signs, or there are 7 proofs of Christ's deity. We said that one of the proofs was that he proved that he was divine based upon his service. He proved that he was divine based upon his will. He proved that he was divine based upon his intelligence. He proved that he was divine by power, honor, the imparting of life, and his sovereignty. The thing that I want to kind of discuss today with you all is, what proof do you have that you are the person? What proof? Can someone look at the definition of proof for me? What's the definition of proof? Can someone look that up for me real quick?
Evidence or argument establishing or helping to establish a fact or the truth of a statement.
Say it one more time. Say evidence.
Evidence or argument establishing or helping to establish a fact or the truth of a statement.
Establish the truth or the fact of a statement. Proof is a very powerful thing because proof gives you confidence. If you know that you have put the work in, no matter what another person argues against you, you have evidence. What are some of the things that people are striving to become? Let me ask a couple people, what is it that you want to be when you grow up? We'll get elementary with it. What is fireman, police officer, I'm joking. What is it that you want to be when you grow up? It could be anything. Just throw something at me real quick. Entrepreneur, right? So we have entrepreneur. What else? One more person. Yes, Miles. A dermatologist. Now, in order for someone to look at your life, people don't look at the person when it comes to what they want from you. So, for instance, if someone wants to come to me for advice about something, they're going to want to investigate, does he have the proof? Does he have evidence? Does he have a strong argument that proves that he is who he says he is, right? And we all heard a statement like we hear around athletics that I'm him, right? Y'all know what that means. What does that mean when the person says I'm him? The best, right?
Nobody can compete.
Say it again.
Nobody can compete.
Nobody can compete. The best, nobody can compete. Now, the real thing is that unfortunately in our culture today or in society, many people are more vocal about who they think they are versus having the visual proof that they are who they say they are, right? That's why you never want to articulate something that you're not. You never want to advertise what you don't have in stock. Now imagine the Jordans. What's the next Jordans coming out? Some Travis Scott Jordans. Now, if Foot Locker or Finish Line was advertising that they have all the Travis Scott's Jordans, right? And then you're the first in line, though. You're the first in line, and you go into the store and they say, you know what? Oops, we don't have it. But you advertised that you had the Travis Scott's on stock, right? You advertised that you had it. I'm the first in line on the day of the drop, but it proved that you didn't have it. Now, how would that affect your confidence in Finish Line or Foot Locker? You wouldn't frequent them anymore because they advertise improperly. The issue is many times when someone inquires about you. So Jesus made a big statement in verse 20. He made a big statement. He says, but Jesus answered him saying, my Father is working until now and I am working. So what he was saying was, he says, you know what? I am God. Whether you like it or not, I am him. I am the Messiah. I am the one that said that's coming. He was bold to say I'm him. And then he followed up with 7 evidences. He followed up with 7 proofs. So before we can articulate that we're someone, we got to ask ourselves, how many proofs do I have that will say that I am who I say I am? This is a great lesson for you to understand because you never want to communicate something that you don't have in character. What are some consequences of advertising something or saying that you're someone but don't have it in stock? Saying that you're someone, saying that you have something, but when people investigate the evidence or they raise an argument against you, you don't have it. What are some of the consequences of that? Embarrassment. What's another one? Exposure, yep. One more if someone has one. Those 2 are perfect. Like, if I advertise all day that I'm a man of God, or I advertise all day that I'm an amazing husband. But when you see my wife at the game, she's sitting on the other side of the gym. When you see my wife, she rolling her eyes at me. If you see my wife over and over and over again, not exhibiting or revealing the evidences of what I've articulated in class, you wouldn't believe me, right? And so some of the negatives or consequences of articulating something that you're not is embarrassment. Sometimes it's best to be silent. There's three things I want to tell you, and I tell this in my economics class all the time. I say there are, give me 1 second. There are three things in regards to health, etc., etc. Now, in order to be successful in life, you have to have these three things: health, wealth, and stealth. Very essential. You're not going to really have any of these two without stealth. What is stealth? Stamina? Yeah, what else? Stealth is what else? Hiding. Stealth means, for instance, I'm not going to post my daughter all the time. Like when I go to the gym, based upon my YouTube following, based upon whatever, it's not wise for me to post in real time where I'm at. Why? People come see you, right? It's not wise for a young lady to advertise where she's at, right? Because it online, because then someone can say, oh, I live by there. Let me go see her for myself. Stealth is important. Stealth says, I'm going to go into the dark and do what I got to do so that when I reveal myself, I have proof of myself. Stealth mode says, you've seen a post on Instagram or wherever you hear people say, 6 months go in the dark and then come back out and be a different person. That's the beauty of stealth. I'd rather communicate with myself in the dark. I'd rather talk to God in the dark. I'd rather develop myself in the dark. So when I come into the light, I'm healthier and I'm wealthier. There's no argument, though, that he's healthy. There's no argument that he's wealthy because we haven't seen him. I tell people all the time, if you see them before you hear them, don't trust them. What does that mean to you? If you see them or if you hear them before you see them, don't trust them.
You have no evidence.
No evidence, that's good, yeah. For instance, if a person always talk about who they are and how good they are, there could possibly be some insecurity. Like, you can't trust someone who's insecure. Why? If they're not secure in themselves, how can they secure you? For instance, if you are friends with an insecure person, it takes one comment for them to turn on you. You dating someone that's insecure, it takes one misunderstanding for that person to explode. They're insecure. That's why you got to make sure that you don't advertise something that you don't have evidence of. So it leads to embarrassment. Also leads to exposure. There's a lot of people right now that lost a lot of money, lost a lot of opportunities because they advertised something of themselves that they didn't really have the character of. Now you can advertise that you're him in basketball. You can advertise that you're him in football. You can advertise that you're her in whatever field that you want to be in. But there's layers to you. What all is up under a him or her? What are all the traits? What are all the components of a him and a her? We're talking about attributes, things that they do. You have their talents. You have their skills, abilities. You have their character, morals, values, standards. That's a lot of stuff up under a person. So everybody likes to focus on the top. Because the top is what people see. People see your talents or looks, right? Right? Or status. So people see, oh, she's talented, he's skilled, she's skilled. He has a lot of ability, she has a lot of ability, she looks great, he looks great. their status. But you may be that person here. You may be the greatest of all time in sports, like Tom Brady, for instance. And I don't know their personal life like that. I can only talk about what I've heard about, right? Tom Brady was married for however many years, right? We heard a story about 2 years ago. His wife was like, can you just retire? She wanted her husband, right? But he reneged. He was like, you know what? I'm going to go back out there. I'm going to go play football. What happened? It cost his marriage. But he's the greatest of all time. The greatest of all time in one thing, but a GOAT argument or GOAT evidence is if you're a GOAT in every area. What's the point of me being a GOAT in speaking, being a GOAT in consulting, being a GOAT in business, but I'm a donkey in my marriage? But I'm a donkey as a dad. Right? Like, what's the point of being a GOAT and people see me and say, oh man, he's one of the GOATs in speaking, or he's one of that. But when you investigate and see the evidence of my character, my morals, my values, and my standards, you'll be able to say, man, I can't stand by that guy. He's an embarrassment. Or some people may still rock with you because you're top heavy, but some people don't even care about who you really are. And so before you say I'm him or I'm her or I'm this or I'm that, or I'm going to do this, or I'm going to that, you got to examine, do I have enough evidence that proves that I'm him or her, or that I will be him or her? Now, entrepreneur, you can say all day, or dermatologist, whatever the things that we want to be in life, you got to say, what evidences do I have in my life right now that will ensure that I'll be him or her as far as entrepreneur or a dermatologist or whatever it is we want to be? That's a real question. Evidence, evidence, evidence. And the thing, this statement here proves everything. Real recognize what? Real recognize real. I can talk all day about how I'm good at something, but it doesn't matter when real comes in a room. Like a person can talk all day that they're really good at something. But until I'm exposed to an elevated level of expertise or people who's better than me, I don't have it. Because I'm going to tell you something. LeBron can watch your game right now and pick you apart. Tom Brady can walk in here and pick your game apart. A true artist can come in and pick you apart. Or they will say, oh, you're talented, you're skillful, but your character's poor. You have no morals. Let me tell you something about the next level. New levels what? New devils. If you can't handle the devil on this level, you surely can't handle the devil on the next level. If you can't handle the girls in high school, they get better as you get older. College girls are different than high school girls. When you go to an NBA game, who surrounds the first 3 rows of the court? Women. We just found out that, I think this is true, we just found out that LaMelo just got a girl pregnant. You don't think that she wasn't trying to make that happen? You don't think she was scouting? Now she's set for life. So what we're saying is that I just can't have top-heavy evidence. I got to have balanced evidence. When someone says, oh, I'm a man of God, okay, cool. You sound good when you teach, Mr. Ezzy. You exegete the word correctly, but let me investigate what I can't see. So if you really want to be successful, if you really want to communicate who you are, you got to put the work in. What's the evidence in your life? Because I'm going to tell you something. The real person going to have an argument against you. And you got to be able to communicate like Jesus did. Jesus was like, you know what? Y'all want to kill me. Y'all want to be mad at me. Here's 7 proofs. Before the chapter's over, he done gave you 7 proofs of his deity. If someone was to come to you and say, oh, really, you want to do that? Give me 7 reasons why. I tell people all the time, when people ask me, should I do this? Or is this person good for me? Or is that? I say, give me 3 reasons why you should be with that person. See, give me 3 good reasons why you should be with that person. Give me 3 good reasons why you want to go and do this. Give me 3 good reasons. Because sometimes the reasons inside of ourselves make us believe that it's a good thing to do. But when you have to list them, there's nothing there. So now, if you really want to be an entrepreneur or a dermatologist or artist or whatever it is, you got to say, okay, let me investigate the evidence, these evidences in other people so that I can also have the evidence in my life. Because real recognize real. A person can look in your eyes and see if you're real. Somebody can look at your mannerisms and see if you're real. Somebody can really investigate your game and see if it's real. Because everyone does this. They go to Instagram and they advertise to an audience that's not within proximity. We talked about this last week. They'll communicate something to an audience. That's the internet, the World Wide Web. So there's an audience over here. They'll communicate with a picture, but these people here know, but these people don't. The goal in life is to make sure the people that's around me right now know that I'm real. Because what happens when these people come and investigate you and they say, oh, you're not really what you say you are. Now you got to say, okay, I'm not going to work on me. I'm not going to work on my expressions. I'm not going to work on my expression. I'm going to work on my evidence. That's why it's best to be quiet. That's why it's best not even to tell nobody who you are until you are that person. Because what's going to happen when they're going to be like, what's the proof? What proof do you have that you are who you say you are? What proof do you have that you're the Son of God? That's what they saying that Jesus, the Pharisees were saying. It was like, man, well, but you was okay, big talk. That's big talk, my boy. That's big talk. We know the law, big dog. We know the law, big dog. All right, so you are who you say you are. Okay, give me some proofs. I don't even think they asked for the proof. Jesus was like, hey, just in case you need proof, here's 7. So this lesson is a very important one because we live in a generation that advertises what they don't have in stock. They express themselves higher than their work ethic. And that's dangerous. Because it's cool in high school, but it's not cool in the school of life. Because in life, people out there don't care what you say. They care about what you have to offer. And so I want you to think about that when it comes to your day-to-day life. Stealth mode is the best mode. Build your health. Build your wealth in stealth. Work on your evidence so that when people have an argument against you, you have evidence. Because there's nothing worse, there's nothing better than quiet critics. Quiet critics means they come up to you loud and proud. And then when you list off your evidence, they're quiet. There's a lot of people that had a lot of stuff to talk about me when I was young. A lot of people that had a lot of things they had to say. People called me gay. People called me goody two-shoes. People called me all kind of names. But every person who called me a name back in the day have nothing to say today. Because I got the evidence. And when you think about that, you'll say, if all I got to do is stomach the pressures of people to work on my evidence, you'll quiet your critics. So proof by definition is having the evidence or the arguments that establishes a truth or a fact. So before you make a statement, ask yourself if it's true or if it's factual. And what arguments will people have? Let me give you an example. I'll put you on game. If someone is to ever business people say this all the time. This will help you, Landon, any entrepreneur in the room. They say in order to make your business bulletproof, you got to put yourself out of business. What that mean to you, Landon? What that mean? In order to make your business bulletproof, you have to put your business out of business. What's that mean? That's part of it. I got you. So here's my business or businesses. Here's areas around my business. For instance, if I go to your house right now and your door's locked, but I know that the back window's open, are you truly secure? Why? You close that window, front doors are closed, but the garage door is broken. I can just lift it up. Is your house secure? Business people say, I got to look at every area that I'm vulnerable, every area that could possibly put me out of business, and fix it. Because if I can put myself out of business first, no one can put me out of business. Because I already thought about you coming through that door. I already thought about you coming through the windows. I already secured every area before you even got in my area that makes my business bulletproof. The same is with your life. Is your life bulletproof? You got to look at your life and look at every area that you're vulnerable. Oh, you're vulnerable with girls. You're vulnerable with guys. You're vulnerable with insecurities. You're vulnerable with money. Fix that before you put yourself out there. Because if you don't fix it before you put yourself out there, people will find the interests, and then now you're out of business. So evidence says, okay, I'm going to counsel every argument that can even come against me so that nothing can come against me. So for instance, when I was young, I used to fall for every big-headed joke because I was insecure about my forehead. So every argument against my forehead made me insecure because I didn't own it. Soon as I start owning my forehead, no matter who called me big head, it didn't bother me no more because I owned it. So every potential argument, that's why you got, as a young girl, you got to get your self-esteem together. You got to say, no, I am beautiful. So no matter what a guy says or a girl says, you already covered that breach. You already covered that interest. Young man, you got to say, okay, I already know who I am as a man. I'm not whatever they say I am. You got to counsel every argument that sets against you. The Bible says, I say this with my daughter all the time. I say it over my wife, I say it over myself. I say, every tongue that rises up against you in the day of judgment shall be condemned. Meaning, every person or argument that is said against me, I cancel it. So now demons can't even really affect my life much. That's why I stay on my toes. Because I cover everything in my life in prayer so that nothing of mine can be touched. Because I counseled every argument. The greatest weapon the devil has against you is an argument. Did God really say? Did God really say that he'll make a way? Did God really say that you will be what was prophesied over you? Did God really say? You have to already have enough evidence about God, enough evidence about yourself, enough evidence about what he wants you to do, so no matter what argument is said against you, you bulletproof. What's one argument said against you that can really destroy you? Is it your looks? Is it your height? Is it your weight? What is it about you that you're one argument away for being proving to them that you are what they're arguing against you about? But if you counsel it and you examine the evidences, the evidence of God, the evidence of yourself, the evidence of your work ethic, then no matter what argument raises up against you, it won't affect you. But when they examine your evidences, the evidence, they'll see that you're him or her. This is a great lesson that we can learn from Jesus, man. Jesus was God or is God, and Jesus did not just come and just communicate something that he was. What if he came and said, I'm God, but had no evidence of being God? Would there be Christianity today? No. But he didn't only just come into the world and say, yeah, me and the Father are one. As the Father is working, I am working. He rattled off 7 proofs against him to the point to where they had no argument, to the point to where they had to connive and sneak and find a way to crucify him off some penny legality, but they fell right into his plan anyway. Jesus had to talk so much junk. He was like, man, I'm so much God that now I gotta talk reckless for you to crucify me because it's time. So are you really him and are you really her? Do you have enough evidence in your life to prove that you are the person you say you are? Because if you articulate something that you're not, you will be embarrassed. Because it's better to show a big game than to talk a big game. Any questions? Everybody's good? All right.